There was a time, a little bit over a decade ago, where many would have pointed to Sonic being the best kart racer around. With a pair of games in the early 2010s, Sonic and All-Stars Racing transformed, had great circuits, a fun and eye-catching vehicle transformation system, and a huge roster drawn from more than just the Sonic universe, but across the wider pantheon of Sega games. Those vehicle transformations are making a comeback in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, but it's also easy to argue that Sonic's erstwhile rival Mario has actually cribbed from his homework now, with Mario Kart now also having transforming vehicles and a quirkier lineup of characters. But that's where 2025's two biggest kart races diverge, because where Mario has just gone open world, Sonic is now going interdimensional, or maybe intergalactic or interplanetary. There's now portals, let's just leave it at that. And this is the big hook for CrossWorlds. The karting will feel pretty much immediately familiar, slotting right into the genre staple elements and tropes, while the tracks will bounce back and forth between driving on roads, powering across water and flying through the air. But everything changes after the first lap. At that point, as you cross the start-finishing line, the race leader at that point is able to choose between two portals, deciding which CrossWorlds stage you'll be teleported to for the second of the 3 laps. Through a full race championship, then the final round of this will actually be 1 lap of each of the first 3 racetracks, all strung together, teleporting you between them instantly. It's an interesting idea, and the CrossWorlds are a potential wildcard that the leader could use to play to their own particular strengths. Though, when there's 24 tracks and 15 CrossWorld stages, they could potentially quickly become the part of the game that you know best. You learn the CrossWorld stages more because you see them more often than you do the other tracks. And that's especially true if players online start to gravitate towards a particular 1 or 2 CrossWorld stages over all of the others. This structure also puts a little bit of pressure on for the light collectathon angle. Each track has got 5 red stars to collect, in amongst the long strings of rings of course, and it's a bit like collecting the letters or other pickups in a platformer, except that you're also trying to win the race, and you really only have the first and the third laps in order to try and grab them, because that middle lap you're not on this track, those stars are not accessible to you. And that platforming element is perhaps one of many different inspirations that I can sort of see echoing around in CrossWorlds. We can go all the way back, for example, to the very start of each race, where the way that you get a boost is much more like a sim racing game, where you need to get the revs in just the right window to get the best boost. Get it on either side a bit too much, and yeah, that's going to end up in a bad start, but there's also an intermediate boost as well. That kind of approach can also be seen when drifting, where a drift bar fills up repeatedly to very clearly demonstrate just how much of a boost you'll get when you come out of it. If those are shades of more realistic races, then the air tricking is right out of the arcade extreme sports playbook. As you go through the air on a big jump, you can flick and flip your car around, pulling off over-the-top tricks to build up a boost. But you have to make sure not to hit the ground again while you're tricking, or all of that effort will go to waste. And it's this element combined with the handling in general, not to mention that clear blue sky Sega aesthetic, that really does make Sonic Racing CrossWorlds feel like a classic arcade racer. But one thing that you wouldn't see at the arcades is the Gadget Plate. You simply wouldn't have the time to make use of this degree of customization that it offers before you run out of coins to feed into the machine. These are dished out by the mustachioed cat in a hovercar, Don Don Pa, and Gadget Plates let you equip a whole bunch of car modifying gadgets. A plate has got 2 rows of 3 slots which you can fill up how you see fit, with gadgets taking up a number of slots in a particular row, and then modifying everything from the vehicle's speed and acceleration to letting you carry 3 items, doubling boost, increasing the chances of particular item types, and making certain items more powerful. So if you expect that you'll be able to win on skill and speed, the vehicle mods would be the order of the day, perhaps with a bump to defensive item odds alongside. But someone that likes or expects to race in the very thick of the action will get much more out of boosting attack item chances, a giant rocket punch mode, and a quicker recovery just to get you back and racing as soon as possible if you get hit in return. You can set up multiple gadget loadouts and switch out the plates between races as well, which will let you switch up some of how you race if things aren't going quite how you expect, or you reckon that you'll have a different advantage on the next track. There's some really neat ideas in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds that bring out a real arcade feel to the genre in a way that maybe only Sonic could. It is clear that this game is inevitably going to live in the shadow of Mario Kart Worlds, but Sega are banking on having that crossplay built into the multiplayer and a cross-platform release to reach more people that maybe or probably don't have a Nintendo Switch too. That's all that we've got for our hands-on with Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. Make sure to like, subscribe, click the bell icon, the usual YouTube things, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Goodbye!